Thomas, it's up for grabs now.
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira.
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it. Well,
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Good evening. Welcome to the Arsenal Lounge, everyone. I don't know why that's still going on in the background, but a bit earlier than usual, 6 p.m. But we've got our lives to sort of continue in the background. So welcome again, everyone. Before we crack on with the introductions, all that here from Arsenal Lounge, we wanted to send out our condolences to Heavy D, aka Colin Neal. Mate, sad news what we heard today. You may have not, agreed with everything he did or said, but listen, that puts it all into context. At the end of the day, rest in peace. Our thoughts are to him and his family. And then we got some more bad news. My idol when I was growing up as a kid, I'm sure everyone is a bit different. Maradona, Diego. Rumors are that he's passed away as well. So again, rest in peace, Diego. Massive for football, massive for Argentina in particular. So it makes you put everything into context. But let's see if we can be positive today. This is Arsenal Lounge, the real talk again on a Wednesday. I'm sure you know. Let's do our introductions. Not that they need any. I say this every week. Firstly, we got Mr. Judges himself, the man who says it how it is, always on point with things. How are you doing, Lee?
Yeah, all good. Thank you very much. Yeah, sad news about Colin today. Knew him well, like larger than life character, and I always got on with him. I always thought he was quite funny, and so a very, very sad day for that. And of course, as you say there, Maradona, the best player that I've ever seen in my lifetime. Yeah, wonderful 100%. Player. So sad day today.
It is a sad day, mate. And yeah, Maradona, as you said, mate, I grew up watching him. I think every player from Argentina aspires to be Maradona, even Messi. That's how good he was. Okay, and we got again our main man, Turkish. I mean, I'm going to try and lighten it up a little bit. I don't want to, but I mean, obviously, we were talking about sort of names being given out to some of us, the panel here. We had Shaheen as Escobar. Got a new one for you, mate. I read in the comment the other day. Turkish Fidel Castro. He's our freedom fighter. Yeah, look. That's him doing AFTV. The last AFTV he did. You see all the cameras around him and all of that. How you doing, bro? I thought I'd lighten the mood a little bit. Sorry.
No, that's all right. I see the comparison in the comments from the last one, and I've heard that one before anyway. Shaheen's taking it to Photoshop, so I'll have to do the same one next time.
That's exactly the response. That's exactly the response I wanted, Turkish. Hit Photoshop, hit Shaheen. You guys in the chat as well, you're welcome to. I got right said Fred. So, do you know what I mean? Could have been worse. Do you know what I mean? And then moving on to our man, we all know who he is. He's struggling with the import-export business at the moment. So he's sitting at home away from the feds. It's our main man, Shaheen, a.k.a. Escobar. How you doing?
I'm good. This is obviously a sad day for football and obviously an Arsenal fan when he loses his life. It's always sad. I didn't know Heavy D at all, never spoke to him, but nevertheless, our condolences to his family and his friends, and our thoughts are with him. And Maradona, as you said, I don't think we'll see another player in his caliber, but life as it is, unfortunately, it happens to the best of us. So rest in peace, as they say.
Yeah. Agreed. It makes you put things into a context. As I say, we're all fans of the same team, for example, when it comes to Heavy D. Let's just like leave it when it comes to being abusive and aggressive. Life's too short, guy. Look, let's move on into the more sort of positive stuff. I mean, I say more positive stuff. We're going to start with the Leeds Arsenal recap. So I don't know how positive you can get with that, but we've been through it all ourselves a couple of times, I'm sure, since the games happened. But we had our own sort of ideas for the lineups and our results and all of that. And the lineup was Leno, Tierney, Gabriel Holding, Bellerin. And then it was Xhaka Ceballos, and as I predicted, I think it was Willock because he was talking him up through the week. And then you had Willian, Aubameyang, and Pepe. So people had, some fans got what they wanted. There were some fans were even screaming for Willock to be played in a 10. I think I've heard from Freddie Lundberg said it last week. He sees Willock as a box-to-box midfielder rather than just a 10. But he played him, and as a lot of us were screaming out for Aubameyang down the middle. So, gents, you saw what happened last week. Very quick recap on last week's game. I'll start with you, Turkish. I mean, what did you think of what you saw, mate, last week?
I think when you saw the lineup, or when I saw the lineup, I thought he's made changes. He's made some of the big ones that we've wanted. I think a couple that maybe stand out that we might have wanted on top of those changes was probably Willian dropped and Bellerin dropped. But in hindsight, Bellerin created the best chance we had all game, and he wasn't that bad. Willian, on the other hand, same old sort of performance. But he done enough, in my opinion, for the pressure to be slightly lifted off his shoulders in terms of team selection and formation. He changed the formation, he put Obor up top, and he started Nicolas Pepe. The first 50 minutes with Pepe, it didn't exactly have an impact on the football that we've seen recently. It didn't have an impact on the transition, the fluidity. We still looked okay in organisation, even though Leeds really should have scored, and it was more down to the woodwork and Leno that it was a clean sheet than anything. Yeah. And it wasn't one of those defensively astute performances where you look back and say, Gabriel, man of the match, Holding, warrior, It was just one of them all hands on deck sort of games. So I think we can't forget that Arteta went in with the intention of changing it up. But the performance left us with the feeling that nothing's changed. I think we can't really put that on Arteta, in my opinion, because he done what essentially we wanted. But it didn't work out. And that's how I see it. It just didn't work out. It's no surprise to me. I mean, I've seen Xhaka, Ceballos and Willock as a free before under Emery. And as a free before, they've been accused of a lack of transition, a lack of fluidity, and a lack of impact in the middle. And we saw it again with the free, because without Partey, we're the same team in the middle we was under Emery. And Emery wasn't doing the back five. So it's easy to ask for a free in the middle, but you're asking for that same free in the middle that 18 months ago were frustrating the hell out of us and pissing us off. But we're easy to forget those times. We're all here and now, and we only have a short sight in terms of the last 2-3 games. But in reality, we've seen that free before. It's let us down before, and it just let us down again. So that's just my opinion on it.
Do you know what, Turkish? I think you've hit a nail on the head there, and I'm going to pass this over to Lee. So, I mean, obviously, we've been getting a lot of reactions from the fan base with regards to Arteta and this and that. But I think Turkish hit a point on the head. Surely he can only put out what's available to him. He had injuries, he had people with COVID and all sorts going on in the background. Lee, you saw what happened last week. You saw the team he put out. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, I can't agree with I agree with what Turkish said. Can't agree with him more, really. It's but I think it's starting to get worrying now, because he changed the system. I think most of us would have been pleased with the way the systems. You could tinker with maybe 1 or 2 different players in there, but basically everybody was crying out for a system change more than personnel change, and we got that, and we got Aubameyang up front. But I'm really honest now. If the club doesn't invest in January, I think we're going to be in for a very, very shaky time. Very inconsistent season. I think it's going to be many a days like Leeds, and a few like Villa as well. That is my worry, and I'm. It's not just the system that's playing well. You can blame Arteta, or you can do what you like, but some of the players are as poor as anything. I'll start with Aubameyang. I watched the game between Wolves. Who did Wolves play? Southampton the other day. I see Jimenez, the striker, running around from his winning a header in his 6-yard box to chasing down the goalkeeper to try and stop. I don't see Aubameyang doing that. I don't see him working as hard as other forwards, and I've got a little theory on it. Is that I think that he feels that he's been let down by the transfer activity in the summer, because I'm pretty sure he must have been given promises when he signed that contract, and since I don't know if you remember, guys, he actually said, "I'm looking forward to a while coming to the club. He sort of tweeted that out or put it on Instagram, and that didn't happen. And I just feel that maybe he feels a little bit let down and deflated by everything. And because I just cannot understand why his performances have dropped so much. You know, from not only his work rate, which I always questioned anyway, but there were times when he was working hard, and in the final and semi-final, he worked his boots off. I ain't going to say the other word, but that's what he done. And then when I watch this couple of games now, I've seen his work rate drop. I haven't seen him. I've seen him dangle a foot in there and here and there. His hold-up play was poor on Sunday. So I'm a little bit worried about. That situation. I'm a bit worried about, you know, what we're going to do. I think that we're going to have to come in and get some creativity in, because if I was Aubameyang as well signing that contract, and I'm not slagging him off. I'm just trying to sort of see what solutions. I'd be a little bit baffled by it, because I'm thinking to myself, hold on a minute, I've just you know, committed to you as a club and as a manager, and where's my goals going to come from? Where's my supply line? You know, I'm a forward. I rely on service, and I ain't getting it. You know, it's like when you go to a restaurant, isn't it? You know, and you're sitting there for an hour and you ain't getting your dinner, you ain't going to be happy. And I think this is the case at this moment in time. You know, he's really. I'll tell you what. I'm going to have to say there are some good things that happen. You know, with the. We see out the game. I think that, you know, let's just take the positives from it. You know, when we went down to 10 men, how many times we seen us capitulate from there? We didn't. And I'm going to tell you that now. I was quite impressed with Leeds as a side. They knocked the ball about well. They caused teams problems. Don't worry about that. You know, and once the fans come back at Ellen Road, it'd be even tougher. But so I felt that we'd done well there. Again, we looked more dangerous as soon as Saka come on. We looked more dangerous. We looked like we could actually nick the game from then on, you know. And I don't know how you guys feel about this, and in the chat and everything there. Saka is a top class young player, but the other young players are not at the standard of him. I'm afraid they're not. You know, you can go on to Willock. I think's a decent player. I'm not saying he's not. Nelson decent, Eddie the same, but they're not as good as Saka. Saka just is another level up, and maybe even a couple more levels up. I thought he was outstanding when he came on for that little cameo. I know he should have probably scored, but that's the weakest part of his game. But other than that, it just gives you something else. And I think that we've got to get, you know, he has got to be fit for Sunday and the North London derby. Otherwise, I think we're going to be struggling. And I want to see him playing there in that role which Willock played. I want to see Ceballos and Partey back, and with Saka in that role there, because you know what, guys, when he gets the ball, he can go past the player and then drive the ball 20 yards. You know, we haven't got no one in the team that can do that. No one that can do that whatsoever. So that's what we need. And I don't think we should be going too much into the game. We've got a point. I think some of us, if we'll be honest, would have took a point before the game. So I'm not too disappointed by that result, I have to say.
Yeah, I think, you know, you hit on a few points there, Lee. I mean, my main concern is the way we fail to dictate and control a game at the moment through midfield.
We're not doing it.
You say Leeds are a good side. They are a good side. They're a good footballing side. But by all accounts, this type of side is appeal to us, a footballing side, a team that wants to get the ball on the deck and play. And we're getting outplayed by those guys at the moment. And that's a little concern for me. And it could be down to that. And it is. And Turkish has mentioned having Saka in that 10 role. I would like to try him in that role, especially if we get all our players back. That kind of solves that conundrum on the left, doesn't it? Because at the moment, it's like, do we play Tierney and Saka? If Martinelli comes back, does he play on the left? Does, you know, the wingers, etc. It means that Saka is involved in that 10. So I'm hearing what you're saying with that. Shaheen, you've heard what the sort of dynamic duo below have had to say. What's your thoughts on what you've heard so far, in your opinion?
It's actually funny that Lee mentioned this about Aubameyang, because I was actually thinking about it this morning, of the things that was going through my head to discuss. And one of the things was that Aubameyang must have been told something except money to sign on a contract. And we haven't really delivered on that, and also I touched on this a few weeks back, and I believe this even more now. There is a divide in the dressing room at Arsenal for many different reasons, and I think this is beginning to look and affect how things are on the pitch a little bit. Arteta promised a lot of changes. Yes, he did change a few things. He put Aubameyang on top. But I read somewhere on Twitter, there was this guy with some stats that the player with most passes to Aubameyang in Leeds game was Bernd Leno. So it just shows that you can have Messi or you can have Ronaldo playing up front for Arsenal right now. But if they're not getting a ball, it's not really pointless. There's actually an argument that with how things are, Lacazette will probably suit a little bit more playing up front because he drops back and he gets involved in a little bit. And Aubameyang doesn't do that. His hold-up play is not as good as Lacazette. And I agree with Lee. You know, one thing with Aubameyang we've been saying over the past 2 years, 2 or even 3 seasons, it's always been where we would have been without Aubameyang goals. And now they've dried up. So it's a problem. And one of the reasons could be that he's not getting the supply. He's probably not enjoying himself now at Arsenal. Lacazette is low on confidence. Aubameyang probably low on confidence. And I agree with Lee. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, and things need to change. Hopefully we get a win tomorrow. So that will be a bit of a morale boost. Pepe is not going to be around for the next few games. And look, the fact that everybody is agreeing that Saka right now is the only shining thing right now in this team, it shows you where we are now. And I agree with Julie. I think in January money needs to be spent, and it needs to be spent in the right area. Right now, we need an attacking player. They're not going to bring Ozil back. I don't think that has got any legs on it. So they have to address the situation. Otherwise, the same thing is going to carry on for the rest of the season, and then we're all going to wonder where is the creativity coming from if the ball is not getting through to Aubameyang on the right ways, because Aubameyang has always been a player that you need to play that through ball and he will run into it and he will score a goal. Right now, if he has to come back and get the ball, not much is going to happen. Same with Pepe. So, yes, we saw some changes, but overall, again, I would have expected us to go there and get a win. I understand Leeds are a good game, but I thought this would have matched us because Leeds will come out to play, and it would suit us. We can obviously counter and we can play. So we'll dust ourselves up and then we go again. It's Wolves. Before that, obviously Europa League, and it's some tricky fixtures are coming up. So I hope things will change and we start pulling the right way.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks for that. I hope it's not down to the fact that he's disappointed with the signings with regards to Aubameyang. I'm hoping it's a more simple issue, which is the same issue that Pepe and the front three is suffering with at the moment, is that lack of transition from the time we get that ball in midfield. We don't turn on the half turn. We don't make decisions quick enough. It's too much side to side. I'm hoping that's the case. There's a few points of the game we need to talk about, obviously. You had the situation with Pepe. Would you guys say that's Pepe being sort of, childish and selfish, or would you say, what's your stance on it? A lot of fans were like, he needs to go, etc. I'm not being funny, but when we even watched the old school games, the Wenger days, and when Vieira first came, how many times did he get sent off? Look, I'm not saying it was great what he did. It was poor. He let the team down, let the manager down. But some fans going on about he needs to go, etc. You guys saw what happened there. Very quickly, what's your stance on the Pepe situation? And then moving on to the Bellerin, Xhaka, Tierney thing as well, and whether that actually does say much about the team and its mentality. Turkish.
I think with the Pepe thing, I think it's understandable that there's been what would you call it, knee-jerk reactions. I think when you've got emotion involved in watching your club, and for the first 50 minutes, you see how poor it is, lethargic it is, and you're playing a team that's not coming with a low block. You've changed formation to suit what we pretty much all want. It's frustrating. And then Pepe goes and does that, you know, stupid. Not even in Sunday League do I want to see that, because players try and get players sent up in that manner every single game, in every single tier, in every single league, across every single country. That's just one of the things all defenders and all players try and do, is get under other players' skin. You know, it worked with Nicolas Pepe. But obviously the reaction, because of so much frustration built up, not only from 50 minutes, but from weeks gone, it's easy to straight away put it on Pepe or focus on Pepe. But I think after a day or so, I think a lot of Arsenal fans that did maybe react initially to Nicolas Pepe over time realized that in essence, without Nicolas Pepe, we probably played a bit more expansively. And without Nicolas Pepe, we got a draw. And in that first 50 minutes, we probably would have been lucky to take a 0-0 draw off that performance anyway. So as much as Pepe is stupid, as much as he let the team down, he let us down. We've all been calling for him to start, and he goes and does that. Number one, it's not a headbutt. It's modern day football, you know. So I'm sorry, but
ridiculous.
That is not a headbutt. It's stupid, because in modern day, you get sent off for that. But everyone's saying you can't go and headbutt somebody. It's not a headbutt. You know, don't fall into the trap of modern day soft football, because it wasn't that. He was stupid for it, but we move. And I saw Arteta's press conference just before this about Mulder, and he said Pepe will come straight back in. And I like that, because this needs to be put to bed. And Thursday, if you start him, it's put to bed, unless he gets sent off again for something stupid. There's no more question of after the three games, will Nicolas Pepe come back into the squad? Yes. And we just need to brush it under the carpet, because we've got enough problems on the pitch, let alone headlines floating around with Mesut Ozil and now with Nicolas Pepe. It's too much. And we've always got those headlines flying around the club. So we never really focus well and truly on the football, on the 90 minutes, on the week-by-week games. Things take us left, right, and centre, and this is one of them. And we just need to make sure our focus remains that the club didn't do enough in the summer, hence why we're seeing what we are seeing now.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I want as well. I agree with you 100% on that. I mean, if you want to see a headbutt, look at Zidane back in the World Cup. That's a headbutt. I mean, he didn't even get the guy on the head, but imagine if he did. Obviously, Lee, you've heard what Turkish had to say. I mean, we can touch on the Pepe thing, and then if you want as well, go into the Bellerin, Xhaka, Tierney thing. I mean, does it say as much as people think it says? I'll leave that with you.
Yeah, listen, I think fans are frustrated with what happened with Pepe. I certainly was. You know, I just feel that I've been chomping him at the bit to get in there, get a chance. But I've had heat of the moment stuff. I was sort of saying, that's his last. I don't want to see him play for Arsenal again, because at that moment, that's how I felt at that moment in time, because I felt he was going to cost us. You know, the manager afterwards was furious about it, because, this make no bones about it. The manager, the club, we're under a little bit of pressure, and he let us down. But I honestly think that maybe it was a bit of frustration because things weren't going his way. He feels under pressure himself, I think. He knows that if he doesn't perform in that game, he could be dropped. So I think that maybe like him not being playing in the next three games, it frees him up to do what he wants to do now on these next Europa League games. They're playing all those three games because we can't risk someone else, and try and get a bit of confidence and see where he goes from there. But it's done and dusted. It's done. For me, it was stupid, and but I just feel that it was frustration on his part. That we've all made mistakes. At the end of the day, as you quite rightly said, Vieira's done this. Other players have done this. It's how he reacts from this now. How he turns it around. If he comes back, then he's a better player. Then we might turn around and say this was a blessing in disguise. What happened afterwards in the game, that just sums up Arsenal, and that's why we're where we are. Because what the fella done is blatant out cheating. He wasn't an headbutt. He pushed his head towards him. You know what I mean? He goes rolling down and all that. What I can't stand, and I don't care what anybody says, is of Granit Xhaka going up and putting his arm around him and things like that, because that just would not. If I was playing football and that happened, there's no way I'd be talking to him. I'd be telling him, I wouldn't even be shaking his hand. Just do one, mate. You know what I mean? I've got nothing to do with you. And listen, it happened at Old Trafford in 2004 with Patrick Vieira. Same sort of thing. What happened? Everybody going mad at Van Nistelrooy. What happened after that? Arsenal go on and win the league. It tells you everything you want to know, that there's players that want it and whatever. And I don't care if it makes you look bad at the time, but does it bother me that it looked bad at the time? No, because we could become invincible because of it. Because at the end of the day, these players are winners, and they weren't going to let some little cheat get them out, cost them the games and all that, and that's why they do what they do. If that would have happened at Old Trafford and Martin Keown would have put his arm around Van Nistelrooy and walked him off there or something like that, 5 or 6 Arsenal players would have gone mad at Martin Keown. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just not right in my book. You know what I mean? Now, listen, I've had the good fortune to meet Granit Xhaka. He's a lovely guy. He's a really, really nice guy. I'm going to say that, very, really humble person and everything, But if I see him again, I'll tell him what you've done there was bang out of order. Bang out of order. You don't try and protect someone that's just tried to conning you out of points. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that with Tierney, what he should have done was push that fella aside, grabbed hold of Tierney and walked off with him. Not, then I would turn around and say, yep, he's done the right thing. But what he's done, he's pushed Tierney off. Oh, I'll keep my arm around you. I honestly, if I was playing in that team at the time, or one of my teammates done it when I was playing, I would be in that dressing room going, what are you doing? Putting your arm around him and all that, And that is for me a big thing about the mentality of our football club at this moment in time. And Granit Xhaka, again, it makes me doubt him. I'm going to have to say. It's for me now. You can say old school or whatever, but I'd rather see like the brawl at Old Trafford. There was a brawl against Norwich back at Highbury all the day. The thing at Old Trafford. Ultimately, we've gone on to win things after that. The reason is because everybody's together, and I don't see that with this team, and I see weak mentality. And that is why we are where we are. And that is not just down to the manager. That is these players. They're weak.
Yes, exactly. It's not down
I agree with you. 100%, guys. Like, for me, the Pepe thing happening... Wait one sec, Sheen. The Pepe thing happening for me was bad, but the reactions after said a lot. I've played for teams, and if my teammate got sent off due to something, I think someone was cheating. He's clearly taken a dive there, like he's been poleaxed. I like Tierney's attitude. I'm not condoning doing things like that, but I like to see the two differences. I didn't see Xhaka originally. I saw Bellerin first, and I was like, that's our right back, that's our left back, and I only saw Xhaka after. So I'm with you in this one, boys. I think it says a lot about your team when your so-called ex-captain is sort of cuddling or hugging the guy that got your teammate sent off, and then you had Tierney spewing. Shaheen, you've seen and heard what these guys have had to say. Sorry to interrupt you. What's your thoughts on it?
For me, right.
Wow.
Both of these guys, they need to fuck off from this club now. Both of them. Bellerin and Xhaka, because that is exactly the problem that we have at Arsenal Football Club. Bellerin coming out after the game saying, football, if every striker scored the goal, it was not going to be, it's going to be boring. Mate, what are you talking about? This is the mentality. This is the problem. Granit Xhaka, Lee is right. I'm used to seeing people like Tony Adams, Ray Parlour, Martin Keown, Vieira, fight, passion, battle. The fuck was that after the game? Why are you going up to the guy putting you out and then you pushing Tierney away? What is this? This is the problem we have at this club where there's no fight. Yeah, okay, you got Pepe sent off. Oh, mate, come give us a hug. No, it don't work like that. Martin Keown wouldn't have dealt with it. Patrick Vieira would have dealt with it like that. That's the problem. And then after the game, you come out and you're making comments that Sanchez was too demanding because he wanted to win. Well, that's the problem. That is the problem in this changing room. They're too chilled out. Cool. I thought Arteta would have come in and sorted it out. But he hasn't. And now we're still having these boys coming out with stupid comment. And if you look back over the years, these boys have always been part of the problem that has been at Arsenal. I think now I've never gone into them like this the way I have now with any player. But now I think until these boys are here, it's just going to be the same thing because if I was playing on the pitch for Arsenal, I'm an Arsenal fan. I have passion for the club. I would not be going there and then. I wouldn't be dealing with that boy. Not waiting for after the game, and I probably would have. I don't know if I would have got sent off or not, but this is the problem. We're not. There's no fight. There's no passion. Yeah, right. You know, you can't a player to be sent off, and then Bellerin coming up with comments. What's the outcome? Same. A mid-table team, no fights, no passion. And us fans, we showing passion in supporting them. We showing desire. But these boys, they go out there and it's more or less like, you know, yeah, okay, whatever, you know, and then come out with stupid comments afterwards. Hard enough, man, hard enough. There needs to be a change in the personnel, and people who can't handle this sort of pressure, they need to be first out of these doors. If someone like Bellerin thinks that it's too much asking for Arsenal Football Club to win every game, he needs to leave. If Granit Xhaka can't really put it about on the pitch and then start pushing his own teammate away and then hug the other guy, he needs to be out. If I was a player in that dressing room, I would want to play with people who are fighters, who don't take shit from no one, who got my back. Not this shit. Not and then people coming out with comments like that. So that's me done.
They done well to change that. They done well to change our mentality at the club, but it's our fault too. It's our fault too. It's sad to say, but I've come to terms now that the fans have got a big part to play in allowing this to happen to Arsenal Football Club. I think I touched on it before, and I'll touch on it again. Van Persie's letter. Van Persie essentially told us this club doesn't want to win. I want to win. Yeah, I'm out. But we didn't learn, you know, and that was a good 7-8 years into that mentality already. He told us, we didn't take heed. We moved forward, and we placed hope and trust in players like Bellerin and players like Xhaka. And how many debates have we had amongst the fan base between ourselves whether they are good enough? When in reality, we should all know that they haven't done anything for Arsenal Football Club for us to even be debating about whether they're good enough. You know, I'm very much a believer of, I don't care about you until you do something for Arsenal Football Club. Like Mikel Arteta, I don't care about Mikel Arteta. I back him. I want him to do well. But if he doesn't, he doesn't. Who is he to Arsenal Football Club? You know, he's more an Everton legend. Same with the players. Bellerin, who is he? He came through as a young man. Fine. We nabbed him off Barcelona. Fine. He had potential. Fine. He hasn't lived up to it since. But here we are with the same right back, arguing whether it's him or Maitland-Niles for the third, fourth year in a row. You know, the standards have been slowly but surely dropped by this club. From Vieira and Petit and Gilberto to Hele, Brzezinski, Fabregas to Cazorla to Xhaka, El Nene.
Yeah, but I 100% agree with you. You know, you're right. And if you got somebody, listen, this is an eye opener. You know, people need to look into this a little. If somebody like Bellerin is coming out and saying Sanchez wanted to win all the time, he put too much pressure, that means there's something wrong with Bellerin. You're in the wrong place, my friend. You need to go, I don't know, play in a league that is not too much pressure on you. Robin Van Persie, you're absolutely right. Dude was in the stage in his career, he wanted to win. And he's probably looking at the dressing room and he's seen someone like Bellerin relax with this mentality, maybe Xhaka, a couple of people that they're not really bothered, a board that doesn't give a fuck. They're not going to spend that much money on it. And why does he stick around? He's like, I'm off. You guys, you know. And look, history shows that he made the right decision, unfortunately for us. So I agree with you, man. I had enough of this. I had enough of these players going onto the pitch and not showing the right fight and desire and passion. And you know, I'm not one that normally go into players hard. But, you know, it gets to a point where, you know, Arteta, this got nothing to do with Arteta. This is you as a person, Granit Xhaka or Bellerin, as a footballer, that you need to have desire on you to win, to go out there and leave everything you got on the pitch and then come back. And if you're not doing that, I'm sorry, here's the door. Fuck off.
Who's the last player we can say? I think I know who it is. Alexis Sanchez. Who's the last player you can say we looked at and thought that man has just given every drop he's had in that 90 minutes, every single drop. Probably Alexis
It was
Sanchez.
Alexis.
Listen,
It was
it's a
Alexis, and
great
we burnt
point,
him
Fergus.
out as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's a great point, but listen. Let's go back to Tottenham versus Arsenal at the Emirates a couple of seasons ago when they were 2-1 up.
Yeah.
Dyer started giving it on. Do you remember that? Started giving it, you know.
Yeah.
And Aaron Ramsey was on the bench. Went up to him, and there was a big little on all that. Like went into it, like started on it. What happened? What happened from that? We come out second half. We turn it around, win 4-2. Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that is the attitude we want. We haven't got anybody like that. We've got rid of the Sanchez's. We've got rid of the Cazulas. We've got rid of the Ramses. I've seen Wilshere. They showed you a clip there, funny enough, about Jack Wilshere today. He done that headbutting sort of thing to Fellaini. Do you remember it? Like, you know, at Old Trafford. Like, he's up if we try to get like if he'd have got a ladder, he would have managed to get it to his head. But like what I'm saying it showed passion, it showed desire, and it tells you are not going to mess with us. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we've got to do. You know, other players look at that. Like, I believe if that was playing Chelsea under Jose Mourinho, teams like that, I know the game's changed and all that. That player wouldn't have been able to get away with that. Something would have happened to him. Someone would have given him a dig. You know what I mean? Look at the on Match of the Day. I can't mind that. The right back who played for Man City. Can't think of his name now. Someone headbutted him on the pitch. And he didn't do nothing. As soon as he got in the tunnel, what did he do? He headbutted him.
Yeah.
Have some of that. That's a proper headbutt. You know what I mean? It all went off in the tunnel. What we're doing is we're putting our arms around them. Like, do you know what I mean? It's, the end of the day, I think it comes down. I think personally, right? I'm going to say this now. A lot of players in the Arsenal team are very, very fortunate to be playing for Arsenal Football Club, and I think that I've made it because I'm playing for Arsenal Football Club. It's not a privilege, boys. You've got to you've got to earn, and I think there's too many players in this team that have not earned it.
No, I 100% agree with you, Lee, and this is the problem. Not I wouldn't say not one, but 90% of the people who are playing for Arsenal now, they wouldn't last a couple of days in Invincibles. I've seen things when those guys are saying training every day, it was as good as a match. Martin Keown would put it about in the training, same way he would do it in a game. I'm not sure if that happens now, and that needs to happen in a training ground. So that mentality needs to be there in the training ground every day in order for everybody to be in the same page. And then when they go on the pitch and then a Leeds player decides to play around one of your players, everybody will come together. And then you do that a couple of times, team will take notice and they're like, oh, we can't fuck about with these guys. I don't remember many people standing up to Patrick Vieira or Tony Adams or Martin Keown because they didn't have it in them. But now these boys, you got, what's that boy name? What's that guy's name playing for Watford? Troy Deeney. How are you coming out on TV saying Arsenal don't have corners? Like,
that was my reaction to it because for years we knew that, Lee. Yeah, for years we knew that. Finally, a player, a professional, is telling us that's what the players think as well. Whenever kept on banging on about boys versus men, because that was well before Troy Deeney. Evra kept on banging on, and I hated him for it. Boys versus men, boys versus men. He essentially meant the same thing as Troy Deeney. He just put it in a more eloquent way.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
Yeah, and we've been tainted with that.
The other thing is, and I'll say this now, Danny Ceballos, right? Okay, he's come from Real Madrid, so he's had to get to Real Madrid, you've got to be a player, right? There's no two ways about it. I reckon, right? It's gone in. He's made a couple of bad tackles or whatever, and play. Oh, we don't do that here at Arsenal, Danny. We don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, and he, no, we don't do that. And of course, then he's had a couple of scuffles. Bring it on. I love it. That's what it's all about. I played in a final once in a warm up, and two of my teammates were at it. You know what I mean? In a warm-up, like, you know what I mean? Because one nutmegged the other one. You know what I mean? Love it. Bring it on. Let's take that aggression right out onto the team. And
I don't know any good teams that don't fight in training. Like,
Yeah,
when you play even semi-pro, you play semi-pro and you go train, you're gonna have an altercation with someone. You're all fighting for that position. You want to get to the team. You know, people
100%.
putting it in. You have fights, and do you know what? I'd rather have that in training and know that you got people that want it, that don't. But Shaheen, before you go any further, because we don't want to get wrapped up in one subject for too long, can we go through some of the chats as well? Because we've got a few people in here and we haven't even had a chance to say hello.
Yeah. Can I just say before we go on to the comments? Right, guys, thank you very much for watching.
Your own way.
Hit the like button.
Yeah.
Subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to Turkish's channel. And if I'm not mistaken, and if I think this is who I think this is, you might be able to confirm this, Lee. This is probably Craig from Same Old Arsenal podcast.
Yeah, that's Craig. Yeah, that's
as well. Love you, Craig. Craig. So thank you for watching, and thanks for watching as well.
Great point, by the way. Do you remember that about Sanchez when he got pushed into the box? No one done nothing.
Yeah,
that's 5 years ago.
No.
5 years ago, whatever. Yeah, 100%. Great point.
You know what? Turkish has hit the nail on the head. He was the last of that type that we had that would like take it on his shoulders. And you know what? We sold him at the right time. He was burnt out, but people were saying like he carried that team for season upon season. But anyway, let's look through some of these chats. So if you can not go for it so fast and give me a chance, Shaheen. So we got DJ Ashby. There are talks of Eriksen being linked with us. I wouldn't be looking at signing him. Arsenal was always a place that made legendary players from youth and buy ready-made or has-beens. Yeah, but you know what? Eriksen's looking quite decent now. There's even talk of Wilshere coming back. You were talking about Ozil, the Ozil rumours having no legs. Speaking of no legs, I mean, as much as I loved him as a player, Wilshere, I mean, talk of him coming back. That's how desperate we are. It wouldn't surprise me in January. Conwiz, Turkish and Lee, are we turning into Tottenham and are Tottenham turning into Arsenal? Not unless they get a whole load of trophies for the next, I don't know, God knows how many years, Conwiz. So I don't know about that yet, mate. Mr. Bungle, yeah, let's hope not. Mr. Bungle, Wilshere back? No way. That ship sailed when he left. Yeah, you could say that. You got Cali. I wonder what that name's based around. Wilshere back? Are you serious? This is yet another problem with this fan base. That signing is just as bad as taking a Chelsea reject, David Luiz, Czech, etc. And you got Midnight. Love him or hate him.
I'd rather have Wilshere than Willian. I'd rather have Wilshere than Willian.
Yeah, listen, if Wilshere's ankles weren't made of glass, I'd have him full stop. I loved him. I think Wenger ruined him, played him too much when he was young. But yeah, and also, I mean, Craig. I didn't realize his name was Craig Scott because his tag on his Twitter is at Scotty B or Scotty Boy or something like that. I've been keeping an eye on what's been going on with Craig and a few other accounts. No one at Arsenal has to fight for their place in this side. That's half the problem. Craig, 100% spot on, mate.
What's the matter with him? Is he swallowed a decent pill or something? Like, you know, I mean, two good comments there. What's the matter with him?
I don't know.
I can't make 3 decent comments. I'll say that now.
Midnight, love him or hate him, Guendouzi wasn't scared to get stuck in. So there's a few things going around here, guys. I mean, you could talk about that midfield. You know, you look about the Guendouzi thing. That's actually a good point. We will slate, like, there's quite a few of us slating his attitude, etc. But then he was one that wanted to actually put it about. Is he a loss? So looking at it now, guys, with all the rumours that have been flying around and all the issues we've obviously got in midfield, right? Let's be honest. If Partey's not playing, it's the same 3. If we're playing the same 3, we're expecting a lot of Arteta to make something different out of that same 3, or, you know, he could change it around as many times as he wants. There's obviously a lack of creativity, someone that could dictate and hold the ball and control midfield. We've got hopefully in Partey when he's fit again. What are we going to do about it? So the rumours mill has already started. This is a favourite one, Shabozley. Who they're talking about RB Leipzig are looking at him, but we're also looking at him. Is he a possibility? Others are talking about the Eriksen thing. Would you swap him for Xhaka? In your eyes, guys, I mean, I'll put it out to you guys in here. I'll start with Lee on this one. In your eyes, who fixes this issue for us? What would you do? Would you buy in January? And if so, who and what type of player would you buy? Lee?
100%. We need 2 midfield players, 2 attacking, creative midfield players. If Arsenal board have got any ambition, They go out and buy the boy from Hungary, Dominic. Is that his name? No, I'm not saying his second name.
Shabozlai. Is that right? We keep going over this every week. Shabozlai.
Great. Dominic is his first name. That'll do for me. Like a boy from Hungary. Like, you know what I mean? So good
Dom,
old Dom.
We'll call him Dom just for you. Dom.
Dom comes in, like, you know what I mean. And I would still go back for a while. You can't chase someone down all summer and then 2 months later go, oh no, we ain't going to go there again. Like, you know what I mean? That would be my thing. But if you want my wholeheartedly thing, we ain't going to get him. Is to go and get someone like Grealish, but I ain't going to get that. So we'll get them two players. We get them two players for the same price as Grealish. I think that works. And I told you Craig couldn't make 3 comments on the spot, couldn't I? Like, you know what I mean? Bald.
I wasn't sure he was talking to you there, Lee, for a minute. That's the worst thing about it.
I knew that he couldn't do. I knew that he couldn't do 3. I know it's impossible, like, you know. So that would be
I'll keep you guys from fighting, and I'll take that one.
Those 2 players, and I'm going to tell you this now, will transform us.
Yeah.
All right. So you go for Dom, and some other guy with a dodgy name, or Grealish,
or even Zaha. I'd like to see Zaha still at Arsenal. I don't know.
You know what? I would have loved Zaha. I'm not going to lie. I would have preferred him to Pepe.
Someone's going to pick the ball up and go from A to B, carrying the ball, not passing it sideways, going back, going sideways, going back, and then going. We need someone that's get it, goes past the man, and then we're into their back 4. We haven't got anybody apart from Saka, who's 18, that can do that. Like, you know.
Okay, Turkish. Same for you, mate. You got a blank checkbook. It's not Turkish lira because that gets you Ethel. So you got a blank checkbook, right? What do you do? Do you do something in January? Do you wait? Is there something in-house that we can use for now? Talk to me.
In-house, mate. The house needs to be ripped down with everything in it.
Yeah, buy a new house.
January, I've never been a fan of the January window. And the more these problems grow at Arsenal, the less I care about the January window, because we need an operation. You know, plasters are not going to do it anymore. Ever since we left Highbury, it's plaster after plaster after plaster. You only have to look at one of the greatest teams we've seen, not only in the past 20 years, but ever. And that's Barcelona with Guardiola. And then under Luis Enrique, even they need operating on right now. And they've won it all. We, rubbish. But we are trying to plaster over rubbish. You know, Barcelona tried to plaster over champions. Barcelona tried to plaster over players that have been there, done that. And it's not working, because every club comes to that point, that transition point. And that transition point is operating time, not plaster time. You know, you look at the big clubs, Man City right now, they've come to that stage. And I think in the summer, you will see an operation at that club. You've probably started seeing it this summer just gone, you know, obviously a bit of panicking at the end with the defense. But next summer, you will see that off the back of a Pep Guardiola contract, 150%. Like we said, after Chelsea's transfer ban, they will operate next summer. Full-on operation they just had this summer, spent over 200 mil. They fixed multiple positions, and they might be inconsistent this season, but the hope builds, because it's new personnel, new characters, new mentality, new flair, new quality, new competition. You know, at this club we haven't brought in any of that since we left Highbury. So I think even a blank checkbook in January, I'd go for Dom, as Lee puts it. Because I like him, and I think we lack that so much that he would make an immediate difference, but it wouldn't be the be all and end all. The most I think we could get out of that is, if the league remains as inconsistent as it does, we might have a sniff at top 4. But at the moment, let's get to January before I even discuss what sort of an impact a player would have, because we might be in a position where we might as well just call it a day and say, forget January, because if we're 13th, 14th, 15th come January, do we want to go for another signing, which we might regret in the not so distant future, like a Cedric, who's now our third choice right back on over 100k a week for 4 years? Doesn't make sense. You know, I don't want to do that again in January, because we've done that before. So if we are in a position where we're fighting for top 4, or you can see it in the distance, go and buy Dom. Go and buy him and just get it done. 25 mil makes sense. But if you're not, then plan properly for this summer, because I've already had enough. I just hope more fans have had enough along with me.
Okay. Well, if what you say is true, then waiting in the summer could be detrimental to us, though, because there's going to be other players, there's going to be other teams bringing in a lot of transfers, and if the likes of Dom and who, they're going to be they're going to have more suitors. It's going to give them more options. It's going to make it harder for us. I can see lots going on in this chat here. Shaheen, you've heard what Turkish had to say, what Lee's had to say. What are you thinking? You've got your Iranian bucks in your safe. You're just about to open it. What are you doing,
mate? I think we need players who've got a bit of characters. You know, I don't think we should just look at players who can, in terms of playing ability. I think we should look at their characters as well. And if they've got Premier League experience, I'll prefer that, because they can settle in a lot quicker rather than somebody coming from a different league. So I would probably put a bidding for Grealish. I know may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I think he's got that a bit of desire and fight, and he knows Premier League. He's already playing in there. He can settle in a lot quicker. And then we need a Cazorla type midfielder as well. And I'm not sure if obviously Grealish can play that role or a central attacking midfield. But I think we can all agree the midfield area is what needs to be addressed. Now, whether that will happen in reality or not, our track record in January transfer windows has not been great in terms of signing. I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and they start dropping big names for summer, just so fans don't really go into them hard for this January transfer window. But they need to spend money to back the manager. Otherwise, it's pointless, because we all can see this group of guys, this squad is not a top 4 squad. They're not good enough for top 4, and the manager needs help. The playing squad needs help. Thomas Partey was a move in the right direction. Gabriel was a move in the right direction. We need to build on that momentum, and we need to get another couple of players that we need in and kick on from there. Creativity obviously is an issue. So this summer, a lot of players' contract is coming to an end. So there is going to be a clear out whether people want it or not. And I just hope that they can make the right signing. But for me, I will get Grealish and probably another proper box-to-box midfielder.
Mentality is very important too, because Lee said it before. Yeah. As much as we say our need is central midfield, our need is a character and mentality that's different to what we have. You look at Tierney; he comes in and he shows the levels that we expect from a whole defense. I expect Partey to do the same for our midfield. But then you look at Nicolas Pepe, who has all the quality in the world, but might not have the right mental character to overcome the humps, the price tag, the pressure. So we need to start getting that right as much as anything. Stop bringing in players that, cool, they might have the quality, but they don't have the mental grit to get into this league and really make an impact and take this job on their shoulders. Arsenal's crying out for the next superstar to come through. Oba's on the way out in terms of his contract and his age. We're going to need that next superstar to come through. And a superstar at Arsenal is massive. So I need a player that's going to come and take that mantle and want to be that superstar. Like Martinelli, how when he came, you saw his attitude, even for a teenager. You saw in lockdown, he was still working on himself. That's the attitude and character that makes superstars. He not only has the quality, but he has the character and mentality to succeed. And we will see that man succeed at this club and probably elsewhere after.
You're right, Turkish. And as I said earlier, I think they need to look at characters. And that's one of the things that I'm against this Eriksen business, because he doesn't have the character to come in and contribute that wise. And obviously, another thing with Eriksen, he's not old enough yet. He needs to be 30, 31. No other club wants him. Then Arsenal will go for him and bring him in. So I don't think that will happen.
Do you know what? You hit the nail on the head. For me, in January, guys, historically, and I think Turkish has said this in previous shows as well, we do stopgap signings. The only one we did was half decent. I think we mentioned before. Was it Ozil? There was one or two half decent ones, but Aubameyang was January. Yeah. But other than that, generally what we tend to do is get stopgaps, like your Kallstrom types and people like that. And for me, I think if I was to pick the perfect Arsenal type January signing that they would pull off, not that I would be happy with, it would be Ericsson or it would be Jack Wilshere coming back, pay as you play. That's what I see in January. You know what I mean? And that's sad. But you know, there's loads of people talking about it in the chats. The people talk about Lamptey and Sumar and Shabozley and all this is great. But you guys have also hit the nail on the head for me. Mentality. The type of players have to have that winning mentality. And Saka has it. The only other young lad coming through that I've seen with it so far is Martinelli. I think he's got that sort of winning mentality. And maybe Emil Smith Rowe if he's fit. There's a few exciting youngsters, not going to lie, but that's not enough. We need to really bring in top ready-made players with the right mentality. So looking at that moving forward, guys, I mean, there's been talks, a strange one. Arteta has been apparently touted as saying that his number one priority in January is centre-back. Do we need another centre-back at the moment? I mean, what does that say about the Saliba signing? When you come January, he's free to put back into the squad. What are we talking about centre-backs for? I mean, is that really what we need? Really quickly, we won't sort of prolong this subject, but centre-back, do we need one? Turkish?
I'd say so. I'd say out of the next 4 or 5 signings, a centre-back needs to be one of them, regardless.
Okay. In January, is that the one you would go for in January, knowing that we're probably going to be limited what we can go for?
It's not priority. You know, it's not the priority to bring in January. Definitely. It's probably 4th on my list of positions we need, but it is in and around there, you know, so who knows?
Once we get rid of the dead wood, you would bring in another centre-back. I agree with you on that, but not priority this stage.
Yeah, we bought Mari in January, and I thought that's the left-footed centre-back Arteta wanted. Then we bought Gabriel. Now I see depth in that position for the next 3 years. We see Gabriel, left-footed centre-back, and we see Mari behind him. We see Saliba, a right-footed centre-back, young. So maybe bring in a right-footed, experienced centre-back to partner Gabriel while Saliba makes his way through. So then you got depth in both positions, left centre-back, right centre-back. Because essentially, you've needed to change the whole 8 centre-backs that we've had in the last 2 years. Mustafi, Socrates, Luiz go at the end of this season. Chambers and Holding, they're not good enough. We've seen already, tried, tested, failed. That's 5 centre-backs we need to turn around in the next 12 months. So we do need centre-backs. It's just not the priority yet.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, once the dead wood's gone, like your Mustafis of this world, then yeah, I would look to bring in others. But as a priority, being as in potentially now in January, I wouldn't. Lee, would you?
No, I wouldn't. I totally agree with Turkish. There's bigger priorities here. I think we need, you know, but I think that we need two midfield players. That's the priority. Two midfield players. Before a central defender, we need to replace centre forward. If you're not going to, if Arteta doesn't believe that Aubameyang's the one down the middle, then we've got to look for a centre forward. So that'd be my third one to look at, and then I would then be looking at a central defender. David Luiz can do the job to the end of the season, and then get in somebody, you know, like a you imagine if we had Upamecano and Gabriel as our 2 central defenders, we could, like, the fullback could then bomb on because we'd have them two with pace and power sorting out the back. But unfortunately, we've only got one. What we could do, if I'll be honest, is listen. I watched Tony Adams and Martin Keown, both right-footed players, play as a pair, play very, very well. So why couldn't we play Mari and Gabriel as a part 2 left-footers? Because they're left-footed doesn't mean to say that they can't play on the right. I think Gabriel's played on the right before. I would go down that route before I start spending money on a central defender.
I agree with you on that, Lee. If out of what we have, my preferred centre-back pairing would be Gabriel and Mari. I agree with you on that. Shaheen, quickly, we'll go on to you, and then we'll go through the chats very quick, and then last point, because we're running out of time, and I'm aware these guys have got other things to do as well. What's your thoughts?
I think the Saliba thing is going to be interesting this January, if they add him to the squad or not. If they don't add him to the squad, then it's probably 30 million wasted, and they're going to have to find a solution for him. But Arsenal's priority right now is not a centre-back. You know, you got probably just over a year. Lacazette contract is expiring. They either need to sell him this summer, or offer him a contract, and I can see them trying to sell Lacazette. So a midfield area, centre forward, and then the centre back area needs to. Because right now, look, this summer, Mustafi and Socrates will leave, so that's 2 spaces. Chambers will probably be sold. I think Holding might be moved on as well. So I think they might go for a centre back, and I hope is a Moncano caliber type of player.
Perfect. Okay. So, guys, there's 422 people watching at the moment. Amazing support. Please smash those likes. The more likes we get, the more support we get, the more we can carry on this great content that we've got coming in. So, guys, obviously looking forward. We've got the Europa tomorrow and then Wolves on Sunday. I think you guys know how I feel about the Europa at the moment. It's a good opportunity for other players to get their chance. And maybe I think Aziz has gone out there. There's a few youngsters that have gone out there with a chance to prove themselves. Balogun's gone out there in the squad. So are these guys going to get a chance tomorrow? Would you like to see them? And then what do you see moving forward with Wolves, who've got the manager who sounds like a Latin spell from a horror movie, Nuno Spirito Santo, whatever it is. But what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? And more importantly, what do you think is going to happen Sunday? I'll throw this at you, Lee, first.
Like tomorrow, look, listen, if we can't get 1 point from the next 3 games, I think we need shooting, simple as that. So I think that Arteta's probably looked at that, and he's going to give a few of the youngsters a go. And I think that's the right thing to do now. We've got 1 foot in there. Try and get the point that we need, and let the youngsters have a go, hoping that Bellerin gets a chance tomorrow, and we'd really like to see what he can do. And then on Sunday, I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a tough game. I've got to say that I was impressed with Wolves the other night. The thing with Wolves is they don't start off well, and then they come good in the second half. So Arsenal got to be right at it in that first half. And if we go a goal down, I will be very, very worried. But by hook or by crook, we've got to get the result against Wolves to give us just a little bit of confidence going into the following week. And I think it's going to be very, very tough. But I think that we just might nick it. I just think that we might just nick it.
Okay. Turkish?
Yeah.
Listen, don't ask me anything. Listen, I'm just a deluded gooner, pardon the pun, but I think we're going to win all the time. It doesn't matter. When someone gives me these forecasts, I just say we're going to win all the time. I'm useless at them. So I'm in your camp with this, Lee. Turkish?
I don't care too much about a Europa League game. Just get through it. That's about it, to be honest. You can't take too much from it. Look at Willock's 2 performances against them. We all wanted to see a bit more of him in the league off the back of that. He gets a chance.
Yep.
Struggle. So we can't take too much from these games. We have to understand that the opposition, respectfully, are not the greatest. I don't care. Just get the job done. Yeah. Let me just see you handle the Pepe situation properly and put that under the carpet tomorrow. Whether that's off the bench or starting, I don't really mind. Wolves, it's a big one because their attention's diverting towards manager again. And the less points we get per game, the more pressure that Arteta's going to get. And for me, it's a shame because it's not the correct problem we need to focus on, but it's the easy one, the obvious one, and it's going to be the one. It might be the next 2-3 managers before we finally direct it towards the right one. But Wolves, massive game. I'm not as hopeful as Lee, but I tend to get them wrong over the last few weeks an awful lot. I said 3-1 loss to United. We won 1-0. I said 3-1 win against Villa, or 2-1. We lost 3-0. So I'm going to go and say I'm not
Turkish, sponsored by Betfair.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a draw. I think that's the safe thing to say. But I can see it go either way. I can see it be a draw. Who knows with Arsenal Football Club? Anything can happen.
It's sad that we say that. We're actually hoping for a draw or hoping a draw comes along, but it's probably the most realistic thing. Shaheen, you've heard what the guys have had to say. You're looking like you want more from the club, and you're feeling a bit down. Like a
of course,
so
man.
Tell me, bro.
We shouldn't be talking about Wolves at home and we're like, it's a tricky one. We should be thinking, no problem. We're gonna.
But we are. This is where. life.
That's
This
a
is where we're
problem.
at. We got to accept it.
And that's down to what's happening right now. But look, I think I say this about every game coming up for Arsenal. That next game is a big one, and the next one turns into a bigger one because we don't get the result. But this Wolves game is now a big game because they need to get a result. Next one is obviously the North London derby. The only thing about North London derby, I say normally form goes out of the window. You know, it's about who turns up on a day. And I remember Spurs coming to Emirates at the back of a poor form. And I think they got a draw. They beat us. So they have to win the next 2 games for me. They're both tough asks, but it has to be done. Wolves at home, we should be beating Wolves at home. You know, we shouldn't even talking about a draw. But I'm gonna go for a 2-1 Arsenal win, and Arsenal win the North. I mean, Tottenham is not an easy place to go now, so hopefully we get a result.
Listen, I've seen a mentality shift at Tottenham. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong, but somehow I think that knobhead has convinced them that they could win the title, and it seems to be sinking into their heads. So you know, I am a little bit concerned about. I'm not going to lie, but yeah, this whole Wolves situation. Look, Europa. Obviously, I know what to expect. I'm hoping we win quite easily, but then the Wolves game is a bit of a concern, and we're not dominating these smaller teams like we used to, and they're getting better. And this is the problem. They're going to look at the Villa game and they're going to probably try and replicate it. But if anything, they're even more dangerous on the break with some of the pace that they have. So I'm worried about that game. I'm not going to lie, but ever the optimist, I'm going to go for an Arsenal win, regardless of what my head's telling me, because it's just what I do. So I'm going to do the same as you and say 2-1.
We're overrun by most teams. We're overrun by most teams because most teams have a better.
That's the worry for me.
The midfield is better in the majority of teams. West Ham, Souček and Rice are better than our midfield, apart from Partey, and that's why they ran it. You know, Aston Villa same way. Yeah. McGinn, someone right now,
it's mad.
Would start. It's crazy.
It's mad because we had the reverse problem before, didn't we? We had this amazing midfield of like players that could keep the ball all day long, but then we had a weak defense. And everyone was saying it's because we didn't have a DM and all of this. We were running games for season upon season. We were running games and losing them, even having 70-80% possession. Now it's flipped the other way. So I agree with you.
When you use plasters for
can't make a change. That difference.
Yeah, when you use plasters for so long, you know, this is what happens. The other areas start getting infected. Operate and get it done, and move forwards.
If I was great analogy first, by the way, Trevor. It's great analogy.
All right,
I like that one. I like that one. Yeah. The operation.
We used to say band-aids for heart surgery was another one. There's loads of them. I'm imagining all I can think of Arsenal now is his big red nose on that game, and we just keep eating that metal bit. That's because the Turkish he's brought that in now. Yeah, you've heard it here first, Arsenal. Yeah, don't mess about. Cut it out. There you go. Just cut it out properly and stop putting band-aids in. But look, before we go very quickly, I want to say, some hellos and goodbyes to the chat room, Shaheen. So if you mind just whizzing through a few of these guys just before we shoot off. So we've got before now saying any player in Arsenal that cannot make his country's national squad, I think he said, should be dropped. And the ones that have retired from national teams as well should be dropped as well. Yeah, then add to that Pepe, Xhaka. So basically just drop everyone before now, yeah? Just anyone and everyone. Midnight, another 0-0 all over it against Wolves. Man, that's been... you suggesting we're keeping another clean sheet there? Lee Flanagan, I'd rather play Louis centre forward right now than Laka. At least he would be more likely to hold the ball up. Do you know what? That's another quick thing we could throw in. Everyone's saying play Uber down the middle. Maybe that's why he's not being played down the middle, because of his lack of ability to hold the ball up. But then we don't have the players to play him through like he should be. DJ Ashby, there's another one, Shaheen, I think. DJ Ashby, we need a positive performance so we can get into Sunday with a positive vibe. We need to be on it Sunday. Quick one-touch passing would be ideal, not just sit back and park the bus. Yeah, well, we need a midfield that can do that. So look, I will say this. Thank you for everyone in here. Why not Sentiment FC? You always hear Chris Ross. Hambo Gumball, DJ Ash, I Am Down Youth, I think that's his name, and a few others here. You always hear the support's been great. Again, this has been another top show with these guys here below us. I just didn't want to keep everyone too long. So look, I'm gonna say from myself, I'm really happy with everything I've heard today. Everyone's spot on. I agree with you all. I don't have anything that I conflict sort of with you, other than the fact that Cedric, this whole Cedric thing, he's one player that seems to get smaller every time I see him. That's another thing I thought I'd throw in there. He's shrinking. So guys, listen, I'm happy you're all here. Please join us again. Look out for our shows that are coming up. Hit your like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share, turn your notifications on. There's more shows coming up. Support Turkish on Turkish LDN, his channel, and follow him on Twitter as well. You know where Lee is. Follow him everywhere he goes. I know you guys do. Shaheen's always with me. He's my co-host. So look, this is us at the Arsenal Lounge. Let's hope for some positive results tomorrow and Sunday, and hopefully we'll see you again on the weekend. So I'm out of here, fellow loungers. Peace. See you soon.